Me and my wife, LeeAnn.
This is Bertcast.
Hey, so how you doing, LeeAnn Kreischer?
I'm good, Bert Kreischer. How you doing, Bert Kreischer?
Good. I'm obsessed with this Aziz Ansari stuff.
Yeah, I know. You just don't stop talking about
Well,
it.
I did not. I think here's what I'm because it's public shame that I think I'm obsessed with. Whenever this happens to one of these celebrities, I get like the James Franco one. I was like, whoa. Like, do you know what happened with him?
He had like an orgy in an acting class or something.
Someone said.
And removed some kind of like cod piece. No.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But he did. I don't even really know what he did. The spectrum is swinging, and this is why I wanted to talk to you today. And I was excited last night. I was getting in bed, and I was excited. I'm talking to LeeAnn because the biggest thing that I've been advocating about this whole Me Too campaign, and I think this is why Matt Damon got in trouble, is that all any woman is asking is for us to listen.
Yeah.
And I think men by nature want to explain. They want to fix, solve, and explain.
Totally.
And I think it's really against the grain for most men who, especially privileged white men, to not tell you their opinion.
Right.
And I think that's what is going on here. Like Cotty, my sister Cotty, came over today and she said, oh, Aziz just didn't apologize. Like he just was like, it was cool. It was consensual. She's like, he should have just said, hey, I'm sorry.
Right.
I fucked up.
And I didn't even know I fucked up.
Yeah. And he's one of the good ones.
Right.
I mean, all he talks about is how he's a feminist. And he's like, and how men are creeps. And then it comes out, oh yeah, I'm a creep too. You didn't read the articles I asked you to read, did you?
You didn't send them to me. I said, send me the articles so I can read them. I asked you to twice.
So what do you know about the Aziz thing?
I know that he had a date with a young lady. They went back to their house and they fooled around, and they both fooled around, and then they got dressed, and then they fooled around again.
And got undressed again.
Yeah, I got undressed again, fooled around again.
Did you read the article, Halston?
I did, yeah.
So you'll correct us anytime we start to veer off?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they fooled around again, and then she left. So as far as...
She left. She called herself an Uber, and she cried in the car.
Why?
I think... Well, I think just to be fair to Grace is her name, or it's her stage name. He did this thing that was like really like.
What was it?
I guess he calls it the claw, or they call it the claw.
What is that?
Where he puts his fingers in a V and then puts them in her mouth like he's an orthodontist feeling for molars.
Why does he do that?
I'm going to say this is going to sound horrifically unfair, but I think because he's a 5'3" Indian kid who never got
but
pussy.
What's the purpose? But what's the purpose of that?
I mean,
But what is that for? Does that turn him on to like check for molars? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Are you serious?
I swear to God.
What's the point of that? Is it sexual?
Yeah. Here, let me do it to you real quick.
Let
me show you what it feels like. Let me show you. Come here. Let me show you what it feels like.
I don't want to see what it feels like.
No, maybe it turns you on.
It won't.
Do you want to hear the quote?
Yeah. I want to hear the quote.
The move that he kept doing was taking his two fingers in a V shape and putting them in my mouth, in my throat to wet his fingers. Because the moment he'd stick his fingers in my throat, he'd go straight for my vagina and try to finger me. Grace called the move the claw.
Okay, hold on. So he's taking his fingers and putting them in her mouth and then sticking his fingers in her vagina?
Yeah.
Well, that's stupid. Why doesn't he stick his fingers in his own mouth? Wouldn't that shortcut the whole thing a little bit if you're trying to get stuff going on down there?
Yeah. I think we're probably asking, hey, why didn't you burn the steak a different way? He burnt the steak.
Yeah.
Like he didn't. The meal's ruined.
I'm really confused by the whole thing. She felt violated in some way.
She felt violated
because she got in the Uber and started crying and felt violated. I feel like I'm going to get in a lot of trouble on this podcast. So I don't know if I should be honest about my thoughts and feelings entirely.
How are you going to get fired?
I'm not going to get fired, but I mean, I don't know.
Look, here, just do this. Just take back a little bit of the rage that you might feel, and just share from personal experience, or just share Like, try to be. Here's what I do on these things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm most of all. I start with that empathy for the woman because I'm immediately prone to defend our Aziz.
Mm-hmm.
I'm immediately go there where I go. He's not. He didn't sexually assault her by her own terms. He didn't sexually assault her, nor did he rape her.
Right.
It was just a very, very awkward, really uncomfortable, kind of creepy, kind of slimy, kind of bad interaction.
Right.
Which I think everyone can say, "Oh, you should have stood up and walked out," but none of us were there, so none of us know.
Right.
Like none, and also like you forget that. I don't know if he's doing it willfully, but he's leveraging celebrity and fame and money to a girl who's probably a young photographer in Brooklyn. She's 22. He's 35. He's got all this I mean, her life could change. If this date goes great and somehow she can right the boat, she literally turns into a millionaire's wife if he loves her. But he does not. He is going in to just finger her mouth and get laid. Like that's he just wants to get laid. I mean, I think she says in it, he rushed her through dinner. She didn't get to order the right wine. She wanted white wine and he ordered her red, I guess. And it was just a really, really, really bad date. And I think what is happening now is the Me Too movement is being split because there are older women. I think that's the consensus. A lot of the older women who put up with some real atrocities in this business, in the workplace. And in life. And in life. And I think you're in that group.
Yes.
Are saying that is not, if that's the worst night of your life, sister, you haven't had it bad.
Right.
And she said it was the worst night of her life.
Right.
That was her worst night of her life.
Right.
Quote unquote.
Right.
There are Asian people in shipping containers coming over to this country right now.
Right.
Snakeheads bring them in. And then they'll have to work in a sweat factory, in the
sex trade.
In the sex trade.
Yeah.
But this is the worst night of her life. Now listen, once again, I'm just saying, to put perspective on this, it's still the worst night of her life though. Like, yeah, like a mile in another man's shoes. You can't, like, the worst night of my life may not be that, but if Aziz Ansari was sticking his fingers in my mouth, it might be the worst night of my life. If he was playing with my dick and sticking his fingers in my mouth and I kept trying to leave and I thought in my head maybe he's like I got a big tour coming up, it's $3 million guaranteed, you work 2 months, and he's like, come over to my house, we'll talk about it. Pours me a glass of white wine and then starts clawing my mouth and I'm like, okay, well I definitely want $3 million, and then I'm like I'm just saying, I'm trying to defend Grace because my instinct is to defend Aziz. So that's the way I say when you go, I'm afraid I'm going to get in trouble. Just play both sides of the thing and say, okay, for every push, there's a pull. Now, I think what is making most men uncomfortable about this, and by the way, I said I was going to listen, and now all I'm doing is talking, and I apologize. But I think it hits very close to home for a lot of men, and I think a lot of men are forced to look at their past behaviors and go, fuck, I Aziz the shit out of that girl. Like I definitely have 2 instances in my life where I was like, I remember one, I was so oblivious to it. I went to kiss a girl and she didn't kiss me back. And I couldn't understand why. Right. She just sat there like this. And I was like, okay. Right. And I tried kissing her again and she's like, right. And then I tried again. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with her? Right. I just didn't know she didn't want to kiss me. I didn't read the nonverbal cues. Right. I must have kissed her fucking 10 times. Right. And we were laying in a bed together. It was a long time ago, by the way. And then I look back and I go, whoa, hold on. Like, when I was 16, I wonder how many girls tried to give me nonverbal cues, and I never had sex with any of them. Only, by the way, I recounted how many people I had sex with, and I'm off by 2. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's 8. I always said it was 6. It's 8. Oh, good. Okay, good. Yeah. Thank God. I've never had a one night stand. Right. Like if I had sex with someone, I had to know them. Right. And I think Aziz probably was like, I have a lot of one night stands. I'm famous. This is what I do. I go on the road. I meet a girl. I fuck her. Well, that's pure speculation on your part. It's pure speculation. You don't know who he is or what he does. I don't, but I think we have an insight of who he is. And I think that's what has turned everybody, is like, they were like, I thought you were one thing, now you're the other. And I think that's the biggest thing I have an obsession with that I'm obsessed with is I got hoodwinked. You know.
By him, you got hoodwinked?
I mean, I was never like a fan. I never like went to his shows and stuff, but I always looked at his comedy. I was like, what a fucking, like, what a cool representation of like he's Indian or he's Muslim. He likes Kanye, like he's super liberal. He's friends with all like the really liberal artsy people. And I was like, how cool, you know? Like, what a cool fucking, how cool is it that we live in a time when one of the biggest comics is a fucking Muslim who's like just an American guy. I never looked at Aziz as an Indian Muslim. I looked at him as just an American kid. He likes the same music I like. But I think that's where the obsession gets in, and they go, I thought you were one thing, then you were the other. So you were going to say, now that I've said that, I would like to hear your opinion.
I have a lot of opinions, actually. I think that there is...
And we're not going to talk about Aziz the whole time.
No.
But I have been... This Me Too thing has been very interesting.
Since it started, it's been really interesting for you. And, you know, for everybody, I guess. But I think that there's a lot at play here, right? The social media has made everybody's private lives public by their own volunteering.
Yes.
And so then somebody like Aziz, who has a funky sex drive, doesn't have any privacy, right? There's nothing wrong with a funky sex drive.
Yeah, by the way, there's nothing wrong with what he did sexually to that person. If that turns him on, then
that's
that
what
turns
I mean.
him on.
If it's two people are like, hey, I like it when you finger fuck my mouth, then bring it on.
Yes.
If this woman likes that, then, and how does he know that? I guess maybe the point was he should have maybe not tried to do that on a first date. If the first date really was to fuck a girl, then maybe his priorities were not exactly in the right place. But we don't know his priorities.
No.
Maybe he was not picking up on social cues.
He definitely
like you were talking about. And maybe she wasn't giving them like she thought she was.
I think she was saying stuff like, I think we should just chill. We should slow down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She was giving, I think she was probably giving off, but yeah, that, I mean,
I got a quote here for you.
Okay. What's the quote?
She goes,
Oh, sorry.
She goes, I know I was physically giving off cues that I wasn't interested. I don't think that was noticed at all, or if it was ignored. Anzari wanted to have sex. She said she remembers him asking again and again, where do you want me to fuck you? While she was still seated on the countertop. She said she found the question tough to answer because she said she didn't want to fuck him at all.
Yeah, that is like I'm not to joke about this girl's worst night of her life, but that is a very weird, like, that is like a so do you still beat your child kind of quiz?
Yeah,
question?
It's a manipulative way of
Where do you want me to
asking
fuck
that
ya?
question. Where, not do you, but where do you?
In the future?
Because it's going to happen, right?
She goes,
in a black hole?
I wasn't even really thinking of that. I didn't want to be engaged in that with him, but he kept asking, so I said, next time. And he goes, oh, you mean a second date? And I go, oh, yeah, sure. And he goes, well, if I poured you another glass of wine now, would it count as a second date? He then poured her a glass of wine and handed it to her. She excused herself to the bathroom soon after.
Okay, so he's aggressive.
Yeah.
He's an aggressive guy.
Yeah,
Right.
I could never be aggressive sexually.
No.
Like, even with you, I had a hard time. What?
Nothing.
What? Say it.
Depends on what you term aggressive.
What?
Since forever I've been calling our relationship the bear and the bunny.
Oh, yeah, no. You know what's so funny?
So you can make whatever inference you'd like from the bear and the bunny.
No, when I'm saying, like, when we first started dating.
Oh yeah, no.
Like, I'm not aggressive
No.
with strangers.
No.
Like, I definitely have realized that there has been plenty of times where we have had sex and you have not given me enthusiastic consent. That's now.
Well, always consent. But
always consent,
yeah,
but
sometimes I'm like,
enthusiastic
okay,
consent.
okay.
Yeah, I had a joke about it that I think I'm going to take out of the special.
Really?
Yeah, I said, I tried to have sex. I'm going to fuck this joke up, and everyone's going to be like, well, I'm glad you took it out of the special. You ever had sex with? I wanted to have sex with my wife. Wait, what was it? How come I can't remember my act when I'm not on stage? But when I'm on stage, it just comes right out.
I think because it's in a rhythm. It's in a rhythm.
You ever had sex with someone that? You ever had sex with someone who didn't want to have sex with you? Not rape, but like, say that. And then I go, that's me and my wife. And then I say, I tried to get and you're like, take one for the team.
Uh-huh.
But then I start going like how often are we together where I'm like, where I force you into doing something that you don't want to do. Meaning like where I go, let's have sex, and you're like, fuck. And then the joke I say is because I think a lot of women. It's interesting the way sexual dynamics are formed, because I think a lot of women have had sex with their husband when they don't want to have sex with their husband.
Well, I think perspective plays a big part in sexuality. I think that our perspectives nowadays, or the kids these days, have a very narrow perspective of a lot of things. It has to fit in the box that makes them happy. And that's really not the way life works entirely. Not just about sex, but about, I need to have this car or whatever. It has to fit in this specific box. When actually, really, in reality, you need a car that gets you from A to B. That's what you need.
Okay.
So,
okay. I fall into that bad category. I was talking to Tom Hayslip yesterday. I shouldn't say Tom's last name. Oh, who gives a fuck? I was talking to Tom Hayslip yesterday, not Tom Segura. And he was like, how long have you had this truck? And I was like, a long time. And then I was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pimp it out. I'm going to get I'm going to put a lift kit on it. I'm going to do what Cowhead did. Cowhead got a fucking iPad in his dashboard.
Oh,
I'm
Jesus.
obsessed with that. That would probably be really unhealthy, because I would be checking Instagram nonstop.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
One other thing I want to talk to you, I want to wrap this up, because I don't want to harp on it, because I do think that I do feel guilty by talking about it. I know that it's stuff that everyone wants to listen about or talk about, is what's going on in this movement, but I feel very bad for Aziz.
Well, I have a point to make about women who have been sexually assaulted. As you know, I was sexually assaulted in college. Yes. I was date raped by an old boyfriend. And for a while...
Had you dated him?
Yeah, he was a boyfriend. We'd been broken up for a while. Long time broken. Yeah, he was a boyfriend of mine. And then we broke up for a long time, and then I got too drunk at a party, and I was not consenting, and it happened anyway.
Do you mind if I ask you about it?
He's 6 foot. Yeah, you can ask me. He was played on the football team. He was 6'4". I'm 5'4". There was no way I could fucking do anything about it. So, but my point before you ask me about it is about your perspective. That is something that was violent and aggressive. That was a no was said and not listened to. And
no was said?
Oh, yeah. I was no. I woke up the next day, blamed myself. I was too drunk. It was my fault. I should have left. I could have gotten away. I could have done more. Why didn't I do this? And the truth of the matter is, the guy was a 240-pound football player. There's absolutely nothing I could have done. But my perspective when I woke up was one thing, and then later my perspective was something different, which is, this was one night of my life. This was one moment of my life. This does not define who I am. This does not change who I am on the inside. It is one night. And yes, it was terrible. It was. And yes, that guy was bad. And no, I didn't go to the authorities, because this was like 1989.
It's almost before people believed in date rape.
Exactly. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell a soul about it at all for years. And I just thought to myself, I have a choice. I can't prosecute this guy now. I can't do anything about him now. I don't even know where he is. Clearly, I didn't see him after, I just didn't have anything to do with the guy. But your perspective controls so much of how you feel about yourself when you've suffered a real assault or a trauma, right? Where you can choose, I am not going to let that define who I am. That's just a moment in my life that was out of my control and happened for whatever reason it was supposed to happen. That doesn't release him of his responsibility. But at the time, I wasn't willing to make him responsible because it was too scary for me. So I chose not to prosecute or pursue that guy because it was too much for me. So, and I was also 19. So, at 19, that's really scary. Yeah. So, but the perspective made all the difference in the world for me. Now, when I hear all the stuff, that people talking about sexual advances and unwanted advances, and, I definitely experienced sexual harassment in jobs where, I told you about that waitressing job where I'd have to hug this one guy to get him to go.
You have to push your boobs up on
I have
him.
to push my boobs on him to get him to serve my table.
He'd serve your table. Awesome. Now your boobs are so much bigger.
I know, right? I should go back to work there.
You told me about that one guy that lifted up your skirt at acting class.
Yes, a guy lifted my skirt in acting class just in front of the whole class, and that's harassment. But again, it's none of that reflects on who I am, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't dressed inappropriately, not even that should matter, but I didn't go, hey, who wants to date rape me? You know what I mean? I didn't go, who wants me to push their boobs on them so I can get my table served? Who wants to lift my skirt in the middle of acting class? Those things, that's not me. That didn't come from me. Mm-hmm. That came from those people. And they should, I don't know how you make everybody accountable for that negative behavior other than, I guess, hoping that people somehow find a different ethic or moral system within themselves. Because my ethic and moral system goes, that has nothing to do with who I am. That was one moment of my life.
Now,
right?
do you feel, and I think, and I read an article saying that, that was written by Caitlin in the Atlantic. I forget her name. It was a really interesting article. And by the way, every article I retweet these articles on my Twitter more for people to read it and figure things out. Because I think the whole point of this is to go. I mean, I'm not gonna have sex with anyone, but I don't sexually harass people, but I might have. I don't know.
Right.
Like I don't know I remember I was in a radio station, and I'm not going to tell you what radio station, but we were sitting in there. I was with a really good friend of mine, a manager who I've known for a long time, and I enjoy. He's no nonsense, and he's just awesome. He's one of the few people that ever saw me turn down pussy. Like, she came into my green room and she said, "Let's go back to your room," and I was like, "That's not happening." And he was sitting there, and he by the way, if I was gonna fuck her, he would have been cool with it. He would have been like, I got your back. I will never tell a soul."
Right.
But I said, "I have a wife. I'm married." And she goes, "Oh, I'm not trying to have sex with you." And she goes, and I said, "No, I know, but I wouldn't be happy if my wife brought someone back to her hotel room. I think that's where that leads."
Right.
She goes, "Oh, we're just gonna hang out and get high." And I was like, and I definitely wanted to get high, but I was like, "No, I have a wife. I'm going home by myself." And she goes, "Oh my God, don't make it weird." And he stepped in, and he said no. And I think it's time you leave. And he walked her out of the club.
Wow.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
That's
He's a
awesome.
great guy. I want to give him a shout out, but he knows who he is. But I can't give him a shout out because then you'll know the club and then you'll know the radio station.
Yeah, totally.
But he knows who he is. And
I don't know, this issue of the hash. Go ahead.
Let me tell. I just want to finish and tell you what we noticed. So. We were in a radio station, and there was a guy, and we were talking about the Me Too stuff. And one of the sales reps, a beautiful, older, probably like maybe 47, 50, my age, but like not 22.
Right.
Comes in and said something about, oh yeah, the guy was like, "Oh, you could come all in her mouth," and I was like, "Hey," and I was like. And me and the other guy were like, "You can't talk like that anymore." And he was, "Oh, you can talk like that in front of her. She takes cum in her mouth all the time. Isn't that right, Barbara?" And you could see her fuck for the first time ever. And this is why I retweet those things, is that you're just learning that in those moments, I watched this woman go, "This is exactly what this whole Me Too thing's about." and me and this other guy were like, we got in the car and we're like, "That is exactly what it's about. That's exactly what it's about."
Right.
But me and him didn't stand up for her.
Right.
We just let it happen, and we were like, "Oh," and she was like, "Yeah, you can come all inside my mouth. By the way, your reeds are on your desk. I'll see you guys later." And walked out.
That's awful.
But that's the point, is to learn and change your behavior.
That's right. The point is to learn. And I guess the point that #MeToo's making is that it's our job to teach all these guys. But here I think is the flip side.
Okay.
Is that sometimes you hear a story, like you were saying, it's the worst night of her life, and there are people in a container being shipped over here for sex slaves.
One man's trash, another man's treasure.
How do you reconcile that? Because I go, you don't fucking know what a bad night is when I hear that girl say that.
And you have the right to say that.
And I have the right to say that. And I
don't have the right to say that.
My instinct, this is going to sound really bad, but my instinct is to go, this is going to sound really bad, but my instinct goes, she's a fucking idiot.
I think a lot
How
of people...
does she have the right to feel that way?
Well, hold on. I think your instinct is being echoed by a lot of really intelligent, smart women right now.
Right.
The one we watched on CNN.
Right.
What's her name? Barbara?
I don't know.
I forget the girl on CNN, the lady on CNN.
Right.
See, that's me tooing her.
Right.
The girl on CNN. She's fucking older than I am and smarter than I am.
She's
The
very
lady
smart, I think.
She was really smart. But she said, you're chiseling away at a movement that's helping me.
That's exactly right. That's the point. That's what I've been thinking of since this started happening.
And does Aziz deserve to have his career ruined? Like,
no, he doesn't, because you know what? I think it started in the Clinton era where, you know, what he did with Monica Lewinsky clearly was not cool. But was it real? Should it really have been absolute public knowledge? I don't know. That's a sexual act between two people. And sometimes social media has made everything so public, and everybody has volunteered to make their life so public that you have to be homogenized, or you're completely ostracized. And I think that's the problem. Most artists are not homogenized people. And it doesn't mean that they can be complete sexual deviants. But is sticking your finger in somebody's mouth a complete sexual deviant?
I've stuck my finger in your mouth during sex before.
Yes, and you're not a complete sexual deviant.
It was one finger, it wasn't. I didn't give you the viper.
No, right? Like you said, we weren't there. We didn't witness what was going on. Yeah. We only have her story, and
we only
he
have
didn't
her story,
apologize.
and she didn't have to put her name out there. That's the thing. And now,
it's anonymous,
now
right?
I'm gonna go to the, and I think I've been pretty fair on her side. Trying to, but the thing that instincts as a guy, I go, like, she was not, by her own account, sexually assaulted.
Totally.
You were sexually assaulted.
Yes.
By your own account.
Yes.
I guess this guy, I'm sure, has a different side of the story.
Probably.
But would you feel comfortable ruining his life right now?
No, I wouldn't. And that's probably bad in the #MeToo movement. It was freaking almost... I was 19. I'm 37 now.
Yeah.
And, you know...
Don't ever say your age again.
What? Don't ever say my age?
I'm joking. Keep going.
I'm 47. Did I say 37?
Yeah.
I'm 47?
No, say 37. I like 37.
I'm 47. But, you know, I don't know. It's a really complicated issue because...
Oh, you've never looked him up?
No. I don't want to see that guy ever.
Oh, yeah, I guess you wouldn't.
Why would I want to see that guy ever? I don't think about that guy ever, because you know what? He does not own 1 ounce of me. Not 1 ounce. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Because that was not okay. Absolutely not okay. Full rejection of him for me. I don't know, I guess you could say then it's my responsibility if he's done that to someone else. That goes on me. Okay, I guess, but I was 19 and,
It's not your responsibility to do anything.
But I think that's partly what the #MeToo is saying as well.
But they
is that it's all of our responsibility. It's Meryl Streep's responsibility. She knew who Harvey Weinstein was, so she should have said something.
That's what.
So then how does that not apply to me as well? If I knew who this guy was, why wouldn't I say something? Because it's a horrific thing to happen.
And it was a different
When it
time.
happens, you're so embarrassed and you feel like it's absolutely your fault. I was too drunk. I wore a skirt, should have worn pants. This laundry list of shit that's untrue. But that's what your brain does. It's really hard sometimes to make people as bad as they really are. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It's hard to, sometimes, or it was for me, to make anybody be that evil.
Oh, I know what you mean. Where you start going, it's my fault.
Yeah, I start justifying because that kind of evil can't exist in the world. That's just too bad. That's too evil. So there's no way that he really meant to do that, because then you don't live in as evil a world. You kind of start equalizing what happened so that the world is a safer place. Because if you make him as evil as he really was, the world is really scary.
The world is
And now
scary.
you can't get up and go to school, and now you can't function, and now you can't get out of your dorm room bed because this has happened. And you can't tell anybody because...
Did you tell anybody?
I didn't tell anybody. I psychologically buried it, and I just drank myself into oblivion. 6 days a week, I was completely hammered constantly, to the point where my sorority sisters were like, you need to go to rehab. And I was like, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. So I transferred schools and got out of the school where he was, continued to drink like a lunatic. And at some point, had a realization. Well, I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me my liver was enlarged, so and my hair was falling out. So I might have had a bit of a breakdown. Maybe the processing of it
liver was
underground.
enlarged and my hair was falling. Maybe that's what's going on with me.
Yeah, there you go. No, my hair, like half of my head underneath my long hair was bald. So I thought it was alopecia, but apparently it was side effects of drinking too much. So at that point, I decided to just go stone sober. I didn't drink for 7 years, and I didn't get into a relationship with anybody for 7 years. And sometime in that 7-year period, I remembered the incident. I had totally blocked it out.
Really?
I was in a movie theater with a friend in New York, and some random movie. It had nothing to do with rape or anything. It was just a random movie, and it flooded me. And I turned to her and I said, we have to leave the movie. We have to go outside. I need to tell you this, because if I don't tell you this, I'll bury it again. So come out and let me tell you what happened to me. So we sat at a coffee shop or somewhere in New York. I don't even remember. No, actually, I think we went back to my apartment. And I told her everything that I remembered. And that's when I started gaining a better perspective and saying, you know what, I look at what I did to myself.
Yeah.
Look at how I tried to destroy myself. For all those years I drank to the point of being in serious health risk. Yeah. And then burying it so deeply in my psyche that to protect myself, really. And then I was like, for what? For this one freaking loser guy? He's a jerk and an asshole and a terrible human being, and I destroyed myself because he was a bad person? That's not right. That's the wrong way to take that.
Well, I think there is this, like, and I know this is really apples and oranges, but like I always felt whenever I had a joke stolen from me, I felt that was I understood why a woman wouldn't speak up. Because dealing with it, when you speak up, the blaming that goes to you. Right. And the suspicion and the questioning. And that because I had a friend in college who was date raped, not by this guy, by a different guy, at a fraternity party. And she did report it. This was happening around the same time that it was happening to me. And it was fucking hell. It was awful. She was a complete emotional basket case, and the campus police were in and out of her dorm room all the time, and there was this big investigation. It was so stressful. I was like, there's no way she's making it through college. There's no way how is she even functioning? Denying that it had happened to me myself. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going through what she's going through. There's no fucking way I'm doing that. I've you know, obviously anyone that knows me, I'm not going to rehash this, but when the first time I had a problem with plagiarism in my life and I reported it and I talked about it, it was such a fucking nightmare. Yeah. And so many people, and obviously I don't want them as fans, but so many people that were my fans disowned me. And I remember watching my Twitter, just people go, "You're such a traitor." Right. And I was like, I was just speaking up for what I felt was an injustice to myself. Right. I was standing up for myself. Right. I never stood up for myself. And I was like, I'm standing up. And then the next time it happened, and you remember that, we were at the lake house when it happened, and it was public, but it was private in that the person, it was another close friend, and I was heartbroken. Yeah. I was heartbroken. I still am heartbroken to this day. Yeah. Because I'm like, it was like, and I think, I guess this is what they were saying about Aziz, but I don't see this personally. Right. I just see that you showed a light on part of a guy's life that no one really wanted to see, and he didn't want to show you. Yeah, it's unsavory. It's unsavory. But
does it make him a criminal?
It does not make him a criminal, but it really fucking, like, and that's the other thing, is if I went out public about this one person, right, it would prove that they were a criminal, and it might fuck with their career. Right. And I've had people that work with that person reach out to me and say, please don't do that. Right. I have a mortgage. Right. And you go, okay. And so you just sit on it. Right. And you see them. Like, I'm sure you probably saw that guy at parties and you were like, ugh, fuck that guy.
Yeah, totally. But that's the other difficult part of this movement, is that you say, part of the people say this is everyone's responsibility to report everything that happens. And then, but there's part of me that goes, but there's part of you that also that just needs to place it in yourself and manage it in yourself as well. You know what I mean? Like when we were talking about having sex when you don't really want to have sex. Mm-hmm. In a marriage, you, not everybody's happy all the time. We can't make a meal that both of us are like, this is my most favorite meal every time we cook.
Blue Apron, we do it.
Well, Blue Apron, we do. Totally. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a give and a take. And it's not that we are experiencing rape when I want to have sex and you don't.
That's never happened. That you want to have sex and I don't.
I was just not making you the bad guy.
It is always me. Yeah.
No, but it's not that now I am compromising who I am and this is the worst marriage and because I don't want to have sex today because I'm tired, I'm whatever I'm feeling.
Going through menopause.
I'm just not in it as much as you are. Doesn't mean that I'm violated because you want to have sex and I don't and I do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a choice that you make and you go, it's totally fine. This is part of being married, is that we're not always on the same page every minute of every day. And I think that people have a lower threshold of tolerance for that, for being like, you know what? It's something that I was talking about in another intro or something with you, where the lack of tolerance for an opinion other than your own has become, you are not a human anymore. So if you don't agree with what I say, then you're the enemy.
Yeah.
But when really there has to be more of a rainbow of agreements. You know what I mean? Where we can agree on the purple and the green, but I don't agree on the yellow and the orange, and we still love each other.
It's the thing about that I said, the mantra for 2018, stay in your lane, where I go, that's not healthy.
It's actually not healthy.
Like I wanted to get, there was a guy, Jesse Thorne is his name. He got into a fight with Owen Benjamin very vocally. I probably shouldn't have said his name because now it's going to look like but anyway, I liked the guy because I heard about him through a podcast. Someone's like, dude, you don't know who Jesse Thorne is? Check him out. And I was like, the guy has, and I know a lot of people don't like him because of his fight with Owen, and I'm really good friends with Owen. I love Owen. Mm-hmm. But I thought he was interesting. He's really into hip hop. He's a little bit of a hipster, very liberal, but I like having eclectic people that I know. I like that I'm friends with Jen Kirkman and I can run an idea by her be like, or Nikki Glaser and I don't agree politically on things, I'm sure, but I see her and I love seeing her.
Right.
And I learn from her. I did a shitty thing to Nikki one time. I brought her up on stage and told a story about a sex story about, not any of a sex story, but it's this, and then I went, it was kind of fucked up. And I could text her and apologize and go, I didn't mean to do that. I should have thought.
Right.
And she was like, hey, thank you, Bert. Like, that means a lot.
Right.
And so it's good to have people that aren't identical to you. Absolutely.
And even the woman, the Aziz Grace, woman, what I was thinking of from my perspective, having been gone through something really aggressive and really out of my control entirely, that after I got to feeling better, and I obviously hooked up with guys before I met you. It was a long time before I met you. No, but when stuff like that happens where you're like, ugh, that creeps me out, you learn. Ooh, that creeped me out. Next time, I'll get my ass up and take it out the door. Yeah. I don't need to sit here and listen to this guy and have him stick his fingers in my mouth. I don't fucking like that. But the first time it happens, if something funky or offbeat or off color happens, you kind of don't know what to do with it. So part of it is learning yourself and saying, yeah, I don't like that funky shit. So I was with this guy who tried a bunch of funky shit. Nothing really bad happened. I'm okay. But now I know more about myself. Yeah. So why couldn't that have been her takeaway instead of this was the worst night of my life? Yeah. Instead of that I feel violated, I feel horrified. Again, we weren't in the room. It sounds like he might have been a little bit of a highly persuasive person with the "where would you like me to fuck you" comment. But still, as a woman who's been in positions where you're like, yeah, this is not working for me.
Where would you like me to fuck you? In front of NAACP headquarters. What? No, that's my thing. Can we do it like next week? We'll get it. Maryland. What I was going to say about this guy Jesse Thorne, and I don't mean to talk shit. And I know that I'm stirring up stuff that is well past, and I'm not going to go into what him and Owen's beef was. But I had asked him to be on my podcast, but I guess I didn't word it right. I said, let's podcast or something, or I want to podcast with you. Because he's like a clothing guy, like he makes clothing. He started a cruise, there's like all kind of stuff that he's into hip hop. But he is very liberal.
Right.
But I was like, those are all my interests too. Like I've always wanted to do a cruise.
Sure.
I love that he's making, like he's got like a clothing line. I think that's interesting. He's got cool facial hair, and we're so different. I would love to talk to him.
Sure.
It's like my friendship with I'll name two people that are totally different than, but I really really love is I think I might have CTE from running roller coasters. All I can think is Aziz's name, but it's Kumail Nanjiani and Shades Across America, W. Kamal Bell. We're so different, but I love hearing their perspective because it opens my eyes.
Right.
And I think so many people, and so anyway, the thing I was going to say about Jesse Thorne is that I said this podcast, and then I think he was confused by the question, and I think he thought I was asking to be on his podcast. He was like, "Are you asking to be on my podcast?" And it came aggressive, and I went, "You know what? Stay in your lane. Like, you're right. We should never talk.
Right.
Maybe we should never talk because maybe you will not like me.
Right.
And that was one of the things when I did Jesus and Miro. I said like an off-color joke, and I think, the room was predominantly black, and I got the feeling that as a white man of privilege, stay in your lane. Like, stay in your lane, bro. You're not one of us.
Right.
Like, and I got that a little bit. And I don't think they weren't being dicks. We did a 30-minute interview that was fun as fuck. But at the very last thing, I did a joke that they didn't receive properly.
Right.
And I heard in my head, stay in your lane.
Right.
And that's the safe way to go about life right now. I've always wanted Lindy West on my podcast. Lindy West is a author. I think she wrote for Jezebel. But she's just she has talked about rape culture ad nauseum. But she did this really, really, really great podcast about with, I think, on NPR about losing weight. About losing weight, about being overweight.
Right.
And it was when I was going through the fat shaming stuff, and it connected with me.
Right.
Now, by the way, me and Lindy West have never had a point in our lives where we would ever cross paths and agree on anything, probably, ever.
Right.
However, at this moment, I was like, wow, what a fucking thoughtful, insightful woman. Oh, and it was also about online bullying. That's what it was. I apologize, Lindy, if you're listening to this. It was about online bullying. And I
remember that.
And I was like, whoa. And by the way, I followed her on Twitter, and then I had to stop following her because I would get into the negativity that was her Twitter. Her Twitter wasn't her being negative, but it was people attacking her and then her defending herself or attacking them back or whatever. And I was like, I don't want that in my life.
Right.
Ari got kicked off Twitter.
Yeah. For
threatening my family to kill my family. And a part of me goes, you're so lucky. I think I would be happier without Twitter. I wouldn't be happier without Instagram. But and I want to talk about that, but I want to talk about my addiction to social media in a second. But I think the worst thing to do is stay in your lane. Like, I love Alyssa Milano.
Yeah.
Oh, she is the smartest fucking person.
Why do you say that?
Because she is, what she's doing is she's putting out her take on things. About this Me Too. She's become a little bit of a spokesman. I don't know if she would accept that, but I think she has. For me, I read her take first. I go, I'm going to agree with whatever she says.
Really?
Because she's smart.
Why?
Like when Matt Damon came out and mansplained, quote unquote. But that's, by the way, mansplaining is what men do.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Right.
Especially if you're white. Oh, we love telling you why you're wrong.
Right.
And
did he say why they were wrong?
He said stuff that now everyone is pretty much parroting.
He was just the first to say it.
He's just the first to say it, and he's white male, and everyone's like, no, we don't want to hear it come out of your mouth. Stay in your lane. And Matt Damon literally said today, I will stay in my lane and I'll sit in the back seat. He was like, I think I need to listen more. And that's the whole point, is just listen more.
For everybody, even the hashtag MeTooers. Because as we were talking about this, I was thinking to myself, if I were a celebrity, which I clearly am not.
Not even close.
Not even close. And I just said, I never prosecuted the guy that I would imagine someone would get a lot of shit for that, where you go, hasn't that person really been through enough? Do they really need to get shit from people saying, well, you should have taken care of that guy and you should have gone after that guy and you should have. You get to do with your baggage what you want to do with it. Right.
If you want to put it in the closet and not deal with it, then don't deal with it.
Totally.
If you want to open it up in front of your friends every time you get drunk and go through it in front of them, that's your baggage. And those are your friends, and you get to do with it what you want. And if you want to go to babe.net, which really sucks. They didn't even have babe.com. What fucking idiots that website is.
Babe.net?
That's the one who released the piece against Aziz Ansari. It was babe.com.
Boy.
Babe.net.
Really?
Yeah, it's a feminist website. I looked at them today.
But what is Babe like tongue in cheek?
Yeah, it's Babe. It's like it's just a powerful, empowering, like Babe. She's a babe. I don't know. I didn't name the fucking website.
Yeah, okay. Clearly, I'm not a feminist. I never heard of it.
If you want to go through and I forget what I was saying now, but if you want to release your side anonymously to babe.net, then I guess that's your prerogative. I just, I once again, and I try to look at both sides, but I empathize. I can only imagine what Aziz is going through. Now, I think he'll rebound fine. I think Louis is going to rebound fine.
Well, I don't know who would ever want to put that shit out in public.
What?
For if I just...
Oh, there's things that, like... I'm sure there's things that every guy, when they heard about this, every single guy was like, I've got a few nights where I didn't behave. I behaved gross. I did something pervy.
Or I just got sloppy.
Yeah, and every guy, I'm sure there are a lot. I bet there's a lot of guys that are probably maybe like nerdy sitcom guys that are got famous and didn't know never really learned how to behave with women when they were younger. Like I'm certain Aziz didn't lose his virginity at like 16.
Right.
He was the fucking guy that helped you with your math homework.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he got famous, and then he got the cachet of now I can do what I want with women.
Right.
I know that I had a friend who cheated on his wife. His wife came to me and said something about him cheating, and I ignored it. I knew he was doing it. And she said, listen, I don't care. I know why he does this. He was a nerd. He never got pussy. And now he can get pussy, but I was never a nerd. I've always been beautiful. But I also have feelings, and it hurts when he does it. So if you can, you're a good guy. You don't cheat on your wife. Try to help instill that into him. And he was a fucking mess. He was gone way before I could do anything. But
I don't know who this friend is. You'll have to tell me later.
I will. And so that, but I watched him behave, and I was like, whoa. And I remember being like, it was like gross. It was gross. But then I remember one time him going, like, cocaine was out, and he was like, whoa, what the fuck? And I was like, dude, the way you fuck, you've never been around cocaine,
right?
Like that's what people you fuck like a creepy drug dealer,
right?
Like you act like a creepy drug dealer, but you've never done the drugs,
right? And
like just that guy could not read social cues to fucking save his life.
Oh, I'm dying to know who it was.
Well, so. It's not. I'll tell you who it's not. It's not Joe, Ari, Tom, or Joey Diaz, or Red Band, or any of my friends right now. So it was a long, long time ago. My point is this: is that I don't know what my point is. I don't even know if I have a fucking point.
You don't
anymore.
have a point. You're pointless. Totally pointless.
But like,
I don't know.
A lot of guys, I'm sure, are going like a lot of guys that are famous that weren't cool growing up. This is their time to like almost like revenge fuck their nerdiness.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's just, I don't know. I feel bad for Aziz. And by the way, I've never been like I would never say this online. That's the other thing, is like no one's talking about it. No one's defending him.
Right.
No one's defending him. I look at all his famous female Me Too'ers that are his friends with. They're all his good friends, and they're not saying anything like you'd imagine, like, they might be saying in private.
Right.
They're not doing it publicly, which is kind of like on the scene in the. Why do I go for illusions or illustrations of things that are so lowbrow, meathead, broy? Like, I was like, it's like that scene from The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio when the guy gets attacked by the shark and gangrene sets in, and they put him off to the side and let him die, but he's still screaming, and then Leo goes over there with him. You don't remember that scene?
Never saw The Beach.
Yeah, well,
sorry.
Yeah, I gotta step up your game.
I know.
Let's talk about let's pivot. Are you cool with pivoting?
I can pivot. However,
hold on.
I have to pick kids up from school today.
What time is it?
At 1:30. They get out at 1:30 on Tuesday.
How long have we done a podcast? An hour. LeeAnn, are you fucking kidding me?
What? Our kids get out at 1:30 every Tuesday of their life. We can just pause and pick it back up.
No,
what's wrong?
We can't.
Why?
Alec Baldwin calls disavowing Woody Allen unfair and sad. Mm-hmm. So now everyone that's worked with Woody Allen is donating their money to the not turned up. What's the Time's Up? Time's Up. Time's Up. Hashtag Time's Up. That's why James Franco got in trouble, because he wore a Time's Up pin.
What's Time's Up?
It's Time's Up for sexual harassment in the workplace. And so he wore a pin, and then a bunch of girls that worked with him were like, "Oh, time's up." Hilarious that you're wearing one. So
why does everything have to be a movement?
Because I don't know.
Everything is like your hyperbole. It's just like, I destroyed. This is the most amazing day of my life. This is the most terrible day of my life. When if our society is talking that way, there's no medium speed, right?
Yeah.
And that's not healthy.
Things have changed. They used to sign a non-disclosure, and that meant something. Now all the non-disclosures are out the fucking window.
Right.
Like Christy Teigen just offered $100,000, I think, to the porn star that fucked Donald Trump, who signed a non-disclusure for like $150,000. Mm-hmm. Christy Teigen was like, "I'll pay $100,000 to hear what you have to say."
Right.
And so now this, like, you're like, whoa! I thought he was signing a contract. They should punish. Like, there must be a lot of guys who sign non-disclosures with women. Like, I guarantee you. I can't say this. But I'm guarantee you there are probably very famous men who have done fucked up shit.
Totally.
Who paid women off that are now like, okay,
totally.
So that money. Remember when I wrote you that check, right?
Right.
That's still good, right? Like, we're still cool. I'm looking in the news to see what else is going on.
Well, what were you going to shift to?
I wanted to talk about my addiction to social media, which came up on the last podcast I did with Tom and Ari, and everyone seemed to have been focused on. But Tom and Ari, fucking.
I have my opinions about those relationships that I will keep to myself.
Please do.
I will. So I think your addiction to social media is probably more than most normal people, but it is tied to your work. So
it's hard to
separate, because it's like, a banker watching the stock market. You watch the stock market because it's part of what you do. So I think it's a little bit of an intertwined thing that you can't completely get away from. Now, you, being the person you are, don't really thrive in moderation. Moderation is not your lane.
Yeah.
You work in extremes. So
last night I got so pissed off at myself last night.
Why?
Because I drank moderately through dinner.
Yeah.
And then I fell asleep. And then I woke up at midnight.
Yeah.
And I was wide awake.
Yeah.
And so I had a few drinks at midnight, and then ate like a fucking pig.
I saw that. I saw wrappers everywhere. Like
I just got up and I was like, I'm starving. I'm hungry.
That's the beast you have to tame.
I have a hard time with him.
Yes.
Like, he's so good, and then he gets away. He gets out from under me.
Yeah.
Food is my fucking trigger.
Food is hard.
I was so good this weekend. I was so good this weekend in that I was in Jersey, and I was like, didn't drink until my first drink would be at like midnight. Like, now, hang on, I take that back, because I know that like there are a bunch of our fans that are very like that are very like hold you to the fire for what you say.
Right.
And I speak in such hyperbole that sometimes like people find it comical that of the things I say versus how I really live.
Totally.
And one of the guys, I did my first show Thursday and it was bad. No, it wasn't bad. Everyone enjoyed it. It was a good show, but for the most part,
you weren't super happy.
I was not happy with it. I didn't like the way it ran. It was short, and I was like, "What? Why is it short?" And I left out material. And I didn't like it. And I had a drink on stage with me, and I got done. And normally what I do is I take a drink on stage with me, take a couple sips, and then I'll leave it in the green room and get a new one for the second show. Right. And then when I start to tell the machine story on the second show, I'll drink that one.
Right.
Well, this show I got done and I was very unhappy. I did the meet and greet and I brought the drink up to the meet and greet with me and drank it on stage and drank it during the meet and greet, and then had a drink with Full Charge in the green room, talking about how shitty the set was. Got on stage with that drink that I had in the green room, killed it, and started another drink. And this one guy in the front row goes, "Bert, I thought you didn't drink at shows." And I was like, "Dude, fuck off. I had a rough fucking show." Right. And then I even had a rougher show on the second show. Because
you drank.
No.
Yes.
Hold on. No, stop. Sometimes drinking is good on stage because it gets you to forget where you're going, and it forces you to problem solve what you're doing in the material.
Okay.
So what happened on the second show that night is I messed up something and I jumped to something early, but I figured it out and I went, aha, that's how I do it.
Right.
Like I was like, I see. And then I had an epiphany and I went, oh, all right. If we're going to do the special, we should do it this way. Called Tom after the show and ran by my ideas by him. And he was like, I think that's actually a really brilliant idea. I don't know. What do you think? And then he told me something even more brilliant. I was like, great. I'm glad I got drunk for that show. No, sometimes you get drunk and nothing happens. Do you have to walk out the door?
Yeah, actually, 118. Okay. Do you want to pause? We can continue when we get home.
Yeah, can you hang out for a second? Yeah. All right, we're gonna pause for a second. You're gonna leave. I'm gonna get us a good place to pause. I'm not gonna pick up the girls.
No, I didn't think you would.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna finish this thought up and to everyone, and then I'll meet you back here in a sec.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right. The great part about this is that LeeAnn doesn't know how to listen to a podcast. So this part right now, I can't believe she shared that with you guys, that she was sexually assaulted. I can't believe she shared that. I am fucking blown away. Anyway, back to my part, what I was saying about drinking on stage and we'll pick up when LeeAnn gets back. It is healthy. It is healthy to get high and get on stage sometimes. It forces you to do things. See, when you're sober doing the same act over and over again, sometimes you can get stuck in rote. You find yourself in this place where you're like it goes this way, this way, this way, and this way. And then when you get buzzed, it goes this way, but you're drunk and you're like, that just happened. Oh fuck, where are we going? And you have to, I wish I could do that sober. Is just change things up. Maybe that's but yeah. Anyway, I was being healthy for the rest of the weekend. I didn't necessarily drink until I was done. I would start the machine story, and I had really great shows after that first kind of Thursday. I even did a show Wednesday in Governors that wasn't my favorite show I've ever done, but then the rest of the week it was great. But still, I was so fucking healthy. I didn't eat shit. I'd have my last meal before 8 o'clock. I didn't eat after 8 o'clock. I wouldn't start eating again until the next morning. And I was so fucking happy with myself. And then, dude, I flew home Sunday. I was healthy fucking Sunday. Monday morning, I get up. It's Martin Luther King's birthday. I see the girls are up. I make 4 eggs and I murder them. Runny, scrambled eggs. And then I make 2 pieces of pizza. And then I eat a muffin. And then I have a muffin with cinnamon butter on it. And then I go back to sleep. And then I wake up and Isla has made a sandwich fucking slathered with mayo and ham and looks at me and goes, I don't want it. I go, what? She goes, I want a cheese sandwich. You want this one? Why don't you eat this one? I'll make a cheese sandwich. And I had a white bread, literally squirting mayo out when you bit into it, 2 pieces of ham, and it was one of the greatest fucking sandwiches I ever had. I then had mac and cheese the rest of their mac and cheese, and then we went ice skating, and I ate okay. I had popcorn and a hot dog, and then man, I just fucking was off the rails yesterday. So I woke up this morning feeling like absolute shit, and I need to get on the treadmill. So I'm gonna hop on the treadmill. We'll pick back up when LeeAnn gets here, and you won't even notice, really. Who's here?
Good.
Who's here?
Offered them a snack.
Okay.
Hey,
Isla. She is so fucking.
Offered them a snack. Okay, and I'll be in just a little bit.
What did she do? She offered. She organized.
She invited a bunch of people over
for a fucking talent show.
They have enrolled in the talent show.
Oh my God.
They are going to dress like Pitch Perfect girls and sing a song.
Can she sing?
Actually, yeah. You know that Miss Smith is like hardcore recruiting her for the choir?
I've never heard her sing ever. And she can barely pronounce words.
No, Miss Smith called her counselor and asked if she could get her out of learning center for the choir.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Miss Smith is like, I need your daughter in the choir.
My material on Isla is killing so hard right now. And everyone's coming up going, I want to meet that kid.
She's such a freaking goofball.
She made me laugh so hard the other day. LeeAnn just said the name of someone, and we can't use his name.
Bleep. Well, you just bleep it, right?
But he's a teacher of hers, or it's a teacher of hers. I shouldn't say he.
Well, you already said he, so now it's too late. Well, it's almost all her teachers are he's this year.
Okay, good. Well,
she got multiple he teachers.
It's a teacher, and I think I'm not comfortable with the relationship they have because it's very close.
Well, it's not just with her.
It's with a group of her friends.
It's with a group of girls.
And the cut to the chase, the point being, I was in the car, we were driving back from the hay slips, and I said, I don't know if I like the relationship. And she's like, Mr. Blank's had a rough year, Dad. You understand, he had triple pneumonia. He's had to bury 2 of his friends. And I was like, how do you know this information? And I was laughing at that. And then I left, and Isla said to LeeAnn privately, she said,
I got out of the car, and at the back of the car, Isla goes, you know, the only reason I know all that about Mr. Blank is because he was crying in class, and I asked him. And I was like what the fuck? Maybe he shouldn't be crying in class. I don't know.
And then George was like, our teacher told us how much money she makes.
She did. Her 6th grade teacher, one of her 6th grade teachers was like, do you know how much it costs to buy wipes for you to use to wipe the desk? My paycheck is XYZ every 2 weeks. I can't afford on XYZ amount of money to buy wipes all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I did my first talent show in 1st grade. I wrote about it in my book. Mm-hmm. I dressed up as Kiss, drove to school with my dad, shirtless, with 2 of my mom's chain link belts draped across my chest, her tights on, boots, and covered in Kiss makeup as Gene Simmons.
And I was Paul Stanley in college in a talent show.
Really?
Did you know that? My dad made me platform boots out of a pair of old cowboy boots, and he cut out wood bottom pieces to make me. I was almost 6 feet tall.
Jesus.
I was Paul Stanley, freshman in college in a talent show. So see, we were meant to be together.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So let's real quick. I wanted to pivot. I don't want to talk about social media.
You changed your mind?
I did because, one of the things that like Tom and Ari are like, you need to get off social media. And I sometimes go, yeah. And I had to quit drinking, and you wanted me to lose weight. I go, you're trying to make me into you guys.
Totally.
I go, how about I make you guys into me? How about you guys do a challenge where it's easy for me? But I think part of the fun of these challenges, and the reason I didn't want to get off social media in the last podcast, is that part of the fun is to follow along with these challenges.
Well, that is very inspiring for people, I think.
This guy, Vance Hines, do you know who this is?
No, I do not.
Vance Hines, do you know who he is? Okay. I'm going to give him a shout out because he's fucking killing
Oh,
it.
the guy in Florida?
Texas.
Oh.
He's in Texas, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I retweet him all the time. Yeah. He is, if you don't know.
Oh, yeah. He's like a sheriff or something.
Yeah, it's so funny because I had a joke that's in Tom's special that is in Tom's special, and I was like, oh my God, I just wrote that joke. But I didn't put it in my act, but I just was like, oh my God, I just thought of that. He saw that I ran the half marathon.
Vance?
I think that's his name. Vance? How come I can't find him right now? Anyway, he saw me run a half marathon and he was like super inspired. And he was like, if Bert can do that, I can lose weight.
Right.
But Tom's joke is, what I was thinking is like, Tom's like, no, that doesn't make sense. He goes, I can also do this. Can you do this? He was talking about doing stand-up. Yeah, his Vance Hines is his name. His Twitter is lawdog1515. We need to get the computer hooked up to these monitors. Yeah. And so that we can pull stuff up and I can look straight ahead and I don't have to go to your phone. Yeah. We should.
Oh, you mean on the TV?
Yeah, have it hooked up to the TV. And so his Monday morning weigh-in, I think he's down to like 430. He started it. I think he's lost a great deal of weight, but his inspiration was me, inspired by Bert, because he saw me run the half marathon. And he was like, I can lose weight. If all I got to do is be active and watch what I eat. And so he's lost a great deal of weight, and he's inspiring other people. I mean, I retweeted stuff, but now Jocko Willnick, I think I'm saying his name right, Jocko is retweeting him and giving him inspiration. By the way, Jocko and like, there's a bunch of people that are online that I find super inspirational. I think about Cam Hanes in a fucking almost too much. Because like when I go to the gym, I was like, I think keep hammering. I hear him saying that in my head. Keep hammering.
Keep hammering.
Keep hammering. And then I was like, yeah, but have you ever lived on a construction site? Sometimes the hammering, it won't stop and it makes you fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was like, how do I start hammering? I want to start hammering. I was like, just hammer.
Can you just mallet? Mallets are much
I love when you improv on bits.
Why?
Because your improv is so tangibly direction. Like it's you never go too far away from the center. Can you mallet? What about sledgehammering? So but Vance Hines is doing this weight loss and he's trying to tracking his journey on Instagram or on Facebook, and today he posted a tweet and it had like 44 retweets. For a guy who's got like 1,000 followers, it's a big fucking deal.
That's awesome.
And so Jocko's retweeting him and responding, and he's doing like, Jocko does this thing where he takes a picture of his watch to show you at what time he entered the gym, and it's always 4:44.
Why?
Because he's a fucking beast.
That's ridiculous.
He's a beast.
What time does he go to bed? 2:30?
This is what I love about Jocko. Jocko out. Like he just fucking
Jocko
intense.
out?
I don't know if he says that, but it's really intense. I think he's got a podcast. I know him from Rogan. I heard him on Rogan.
Who goes to the gym at 4:40?
Jocko does.
But when does he go to sleep?
He doesn't. I don't know.
5 o'clock in the afternoon?
I think he probably, I imagine he probably has kids, but I'm sure he goes to sleep at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm clearly not doing it either. But
well, I mean,
I've been in my workout clothes all day, and it's 2:30, and I'm still not on the treadmill.
I worked out.
I know. Let's talk about the 21-day fix real quick.
Mm-hmm.
To those of you that don't know, but you'll find out soon because LeeAnn's podcast is coming out when?
Very soon.
When?
Like really soon.
Like how soon?
I don't know.
She's already recorded one, and
I've recorded more than one.
Well, yeah, but I think one that we
you gotta
like.
find the other one.
Like it's on my fucking computer.
Okay, so I have two.
But yeah,
and I have my third one is scheduled next Monday. I'm recording that. So then after that one, probably.
Okay, and then she's doing the 21-day fix, and that is through Beachbody, a sponsor of the podcast. And how do you find it?
So far, it is so much easier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I'm only on day 2.
But you made a breakfast yesterday, and you're like, this is too much food for me.
It was. I was really kind of surprised because it's more food than I ever eat at breakfast.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the problem. Maybe I was not eating enough breakfast and eating more at night. You know what I mean? And not burning it off. But yeah, I did the workout yesterday and today. I am ridiculously sore. Like ridiculously sore.
The workout's super easy. You can find it on the app. This isn't an ad, but you were just in the living room doing it.
Yeah, I just mirrored my computer to my Apple TV on my TV.
By
but
the
you
way,
could
I
just
worked
do it
out
on
in
your
New Jersey.
computer.
I worked out in New Jersey every day.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, on the Savage.
So yeah, Beachbody's been, I really thought, I have to say this. I did sit down on Sunday and plan my meals for all 7 days this week. And that took a long time because I'd never done it before.
See, you don't have the, I think it's part of my impulse control.
It's part of that stuff Jair talked about. You're a wing it guy. I'm a list maker taskmaster. Yeah. I can't wing it. I got to have a plan.
Man, Jair fucked our lives up so much.
He did not. He did not. He helped me tremendously.
Yeah, I know, but I had to live with it, and it's been fucking a pain in the ass.
Shut up. It's not true.
Do you have a name for your podcast yet?
Wife of the party.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, maybe we should. Have you already gotten it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you can say it.
Yeah. wifefortheparty.com. But I
Nice.
don't have my website up yet.
Nice.
No, but I got the Libsyn. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I just have to find music and artwork.
And here's the deal, everyone listening. I implore you to go listen to my wife's website podcast. I think everyone likes you. I think everyone likes your personality. I've heard so many positive things.
Oh,
there are
that's so
some guys
nice.
that it's not
Their thing.
Well, it's not, but I can understand that. Like
Totally.
Like I what I'm enjoying in a podcast, and I think, Dan Adler, shout out to Dan Adler if he's still listening.
Yeah.
I had lunch with Adler and Bonnie the other day. I think I told you about that.
You did.
Dan Adler, for those of you who don't know, was the creator of Bert the Conqueror. I know a lot of you guys think that I created it because I was so naturally talented in it, but he was the creator. Bonnie was the producer, supervising producer. It was her show. It was Dan's show. And then, I think the last season was my show. That's why I did not get picked up. But
I don't know about that.
Dan told me what he liked about my podcast.
What was it?
It was, I think it's a lot of people. He goes, I sometimes you get really heavy in the business, the industry stuff about stand-up and comedy, and that's great. It's really interesting. But he goes, I really like the one with you, Ari and Tom. It was just 4 friends sitting around talking.
That's great.
And he goes, and I love that. I love that aspect of it. And I was like, yeah. And so I today I had a guest booked, and I didn't know him very well.
Oh, really?
And I thought, based on Dan's note, I was like, you know what? I want to do one with LeeAnn because I think we've gotten a lot better at podcasting than when we used to do them.
Yeah.
But I think that's based on you, and I think your openness and your ability to share, and the Aziz stuff has been James Franco, then Aziz, and I was like, and I knew your past. I didn't know what you share of your past, but I knew your past, and I was like, I want to hear LeeAnn's perspective, because every time, like with the Louis stuff, you were kind of like on the same page as Dave Chappelle a little bit. You were like, she couldn't hang up the phone. And
right, I was very much, because there's I think I maybe have already said this in this podcast, but there's part of me when that stuff was going on with Louis where I was like, but you said no thanks, and he didn't.
Yeah.
So, and you reported it. What is the problem? At that point, everything's reconciled. Nobody got hurt. Somebody just went, hey, I like kind of funky stuff. You want to do some funky stuff?
That's what I'm afraid of.
And they said, no, I don't want to do funky stuff. And he went, no problem. But being presented with, hey, you want to do funky stuff is bad. And I guess it's because it's the context that they work together. But she reported it. She did everything she was supposed to do. So it should have kind of stopped there. Why didn't it just end there?
I remember one time this is, I think, my fear where the future of this goes is like, I was wondering one time, like, this is so creepy that it bothers me like I'm afraid that someone's going to get the camera of my computer. I remember one time, I've talked about this before. I was listening to the day after Patrice died. I was listening to Opie and Anthony. Chappelle or Attell was in. Everyone was in studio. Louis was in. Jim, Bobby, Bill. I mean, everyone was in. And it was really fucking moving. And obviously everyone knows how much I cared about Patrice, or how much, I don't know how much I cared about him, but how much of an influence he was on me.
Right.
And then a porn ad came up, just like popped up, because I had looked at porn earlier and I was still up, and I clicked it. And I saw some porn, and I was like, I think I haven't jacked off today. I'll jack off. So I'm listening to Patrice's eulogy.
While you were jacking off?
Yeah. But I'm watching porn, but it's playing in the background.
That's kind of creepy.
It's very creepy.
That's kind of weird.
But if you had video from my computer of me, you would think I was jacking off to Patrice's eulogy. Because I hit mute on the porn, so I was still listening to this.
You are a
side.
weirdo.
But like I go, the stuff I've Googled, like that's the next step. We're very welcoming with this big brother, but the stuff I've Googled in porn, you've had sex with me, I can get a little, not kinky, but weird. Not weird, but like...
Sort of. But to your point, I think You know how all this microaggression was happening, these accusations of microaggression was happening in all these colleges before the hashtag Me Too started?
Yeah.
And I read that big article about someone being offended because they were shown a painting from like the 1600s of a naked person in an art history class, and that was offensive to them because they saw a woman naked. And you go, but how do you form your own opinion if you're not exposed to things that force you to make an opinion? Like if you're just giving safe things, you are just spoon-fed an opinion. So unless you see, I saw that naked women in art history class, that's really not for me. But it might be for someone else. For them, that may be a most amazing piece of art that may inspire them to do something else. So how can you ethically in your own brain close a door for someone else? Like I would never do porn. I think I've maybe watched 2 porns in my whole life.
You don't even send tit pics.
No, I don't send tit pics. It's not for me.
You're very prudish, though.
People, well, I don't know about that.
We've never videotaped ourselves. We should do.
No, I'm not doing that either. Nobody wants to see that about themselves. I don't want to see that about themselves.
Well, after the 21-day fix.
No.
We should do, what we do? People do before and after. Let's do a before porn and then an after porn.
No.
And we'll release them to the public on Pornhub. People, and we'll wear masks.
Yeah.
We'll wear masks.
Totally, my answer is going to be no.
What if we dress up in costume and talk with accents?
No.
And I'm like, ooh.
I already talk with an accent.
Hello, monsieur.
Hello.
Oui, oui.
But I don't know. I think the only way that you can form your opinion is to be safely exposed to things that are not your opinion. You know what I mean?
I think right now I'm writing jokes. I think the kinkiest me and my wife is sometimes when I have sex with her, I speak with an accent. Now I'm just giggling of you going, are you using an accent right now? No.
No.
No. Why do you say? Niet.
Turn over.
Yeah, those microaggressions get me frustrated, but that's the future. That's
But it's the predecessor to hashtag Me Too. A little bit. I think it is.
Well, I think hashtag Me Too is
it's a different
kind
issue.
of welcomed by all women in its entirety.
Well, it is welcomed for sure. I for sure think that shit should stop. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and I think the majority of women, I think, see it in the workplace. They're like, that's where this needs to stop, is in the workplace. Louis' thing was about the workplace.
Yes, I agree.
think Louis accepted guilt about the workplace dynamic, which was really interesting.
Right.
I think by the way, I definitely don't think Louis lost his career, and I can't wait till he comes back. I can't wait to hear his perspective
when he comes back,
because he's the guy.
You know he's writing jokes like crazy.
But Louis is also smart as fuck.
Yes, he is.
So he's writing thoughts.
Yes.
He's gonna and I love Chappelle. I don't know what I said about Chappelle. By the way, I didn't talk shit about Jeff Ross on my podcast. Whoever fucking tweeted and said, Jeff Ross, Bert's talking shit about your parties on his podcast. Don't do that. Like, don't tag. I don't know what I said, but I know my feelings towards Jeff, and I really like Jeff, and I really respect him, and I'm jealous of his parties. But I wasn't talking shit about his parties. And I don't know what I said about Chappelle, but I know that I said that, I'm sure I said something horrible, but don't tweet anybody. Just keep them. They're secrets. That's why I do secret time. But my point is,
a public secret.
Louis, yeah, I know. But Louis is so smart, so insightful, didn't go to college, but just so fucking smart. His takeaway is going to be fucking awesome. I wouldn't be shocked if part of him wanted to keep his takeaway for himself and be like, fuck you guys. Y'all turned on me. Everyone turned on him.
Everybody turned on him.
I didn't turn on him.
And that's even almost worse. If all these people that were on his team knew that happened and
his agent just re-signed him.
Why?
That's what I heard. His agent just re-signed him. Dude, he is... when it happened, I went... First of all, this is what I said on stage. I knew about it the whole time. And I always found him funny. Yeah, it's creepy. It's pervy. Whatever. It's Louis. He was very... Like, he all but said, that's what I do a lot. I think it's just... People... all these hipsters and millennials are like... Found it ironic that he was talking about jacking off. And then they're like, oh, whoa. That he really does do that. And they're like, yeah, that's why he writes about it.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I thought it was like a joke. And you're like, no, that he likes jacking off. Well, a lot of us do. He put about it in his fucking, in Lucky Louie. He had a thing where his wife passed out and he wanted to have sex and he jacked off on her back, I think. Maybe that didn't happen.
I don't know.
Maybe that's someone else's story. But my point is, I can't wait for, he was very sweet the last time I saw him. Mm-hmm. You know, he's gotten this, and you know, he doesn't need money, so maybe he'll just do his own fucking thing.
Right.
And all these people that turn their backs on him are going to be like, whoa, I want to be in business with you. And he's like, nah, I'm in business with myself.
Well, that's the hypocritical part. If they knew that happened, they had to have.
Well,
they left when it became a public issue, like a PR issue.
Not to defend Dave Becky, who I think is the one everyone's talking about, or Louis, but Dave Becky knew as much as I knew. Like he didn't fucking know. Like he wasn't in the room. He heard these girls talking about it, and that's how he knew. He didn't know. Mm-hmm. Like he just was like, yo, he's married. Whatever happened, let's keep it on the DL. And then I'm sure I know people had asked Louis, and he always said it never happened to them privately. Mm-hmm. So like he had to take his man's word on it, you know. But these girls said it happened. Like no one was in the room except Louis and those girls, you know. Right. And Louis apologized. And I think to watch people turn on him so hard, and I've seen so many comics now that aren't afraid of him, and I'm like, whoa, that's fucking mind-boggling.
Yeah,
it's just to see the numbers dwindle on a show and people not respect the guy anymore. Like, right. It's such a false sense of friendship or colleagueness. Mm-hmm. Like if I saw Louis today, and he's hanging out the cellar, if I saw him, and he'll be gone for a year, I wouldn't mind being in his place. meaning, hold on, being Louis C.K. Like if that. You
mean as a talent? No, you mean not as a circumstances?
Not as a circumstances. No, but maybe like he had a secret.
Yeah.
And his secret came out.
Yeah. And now he's free.
Uh-huh. So I kind of go, you know what? You got a ton of money. Go to the south of France. Fucking write a book for a year. Just sit for a year. Go everyone's going to be here when you come back. Come back. Write an hour. Go to fucking France. Learn French. Write an hour. Come back and do stand-up again in small clubs. And work your way back up to where you once were. But you come with a fresh perspective. And now you don't have a secret. Mm. You know,
I don't know if you would handle it quite that way.
I would not. I would be a fucking mess.
You would be a disaster. To speak in non-hyperbole, you would be a disaster.
I would be a fucking
disaster. Mess.
I remember when Tracy Morgan said that my Tracy Morgan story didn't happen. Uh-huh. We were in Hawaii, and it's a helplessness. Mm-hmm. Like there's no way to prove that it did happen.
Right.
I said at the very beginning, I didn't think he'd ever remember the story.
Right.
I don't think he'd ever remember me.
Right.
So that's why I never told her on stage. But
your friend came to DC Improv and verified it.
Yeah, Tony.
He was there too.
But that doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
You can't do that in a public court.
No, I got it.
It's a helplessness. Like I'm sure that Aziz must have felt a helplessness of
mm-hmm.
like I was there. You know, I think that helplessness is what would kill you, make you crazy.
Totally, because once you start slinging mud, it just.
Oh, I heard Tom and Joe talking about me on Joe's podcast.
Yeah.
And Tom was doing what Tom does, where he semi misrepresents me mm-hmm. in ways. Like him and Joe, like Ari, everyone, my three friends will say stuff like he's gained all the weight back. You know, like Tom was saying something about me like walking around everywhere going, I'm famous. That's not what happened. And I heard it, and that helplessness is what drives you crazy. And so immediately I text Tom and Joe, and then they laugh, and then Joe was like, I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. Are you telling me that the video in the liquor store isn't completely Bert Kreischer or whatever? And I was like, okay, the video in the liquor store might be me. Like, I was like, I'm a lot more reserved than that. And they're like, no, you're not. Yeah.
Well, that's the problem when you're larger than life. Then people make every single story about you larger than life.
Yeah. And I was like, and
whether it's true or not.
But like things did happen on that trip that I can't apologize for, that aren't bad. But like, I mean, this guy recognized us. I knew he wanted a picture with us. So I say, hey man, do you want to get a picture real quick? And he was like, oh, you guys don't mind? And I was like, come on, let's get in. We'll all do a picture. And Tom's like, hey man, we don't ask fans for pictures. They ask us. If the guy wants a picture, let him ask. Don't you start volunteering us all to take pictures all night. And I was like, yeah, but I can tell he wanted a picture. So like stuff like that is very accurate. Like I do. And I am.
But you're not doing it because you're like, hey, look at me. I'm the big shot. You're
I do it because I know the guy wants a picture.
And the guy, you're
and Tom is so introverted.
Alleviating
He's
him.
so introverted. He really does not give a fuck. I was saying this to Halston. He really does not give a fuck
About
anything.
That's not true.
I'm telling you, he cares about Push and his kid. He maybe cares about his cars. I think, like,
I don't buy that.
I buy it.
Don't
He
buy
just tweeted he just tweeted about Aziz. Like fucking 2 minutes ago going, okay, now that this is out about Aziz, can we all say that his show sucks? I'm like, Tom. But he goes, I don't give a fuck. If he ran into Aziz, he'd be like, I never liked you. And Aziz would be like, what did I do to you? And he's like, nah, just don't like you. And just walk away. And like I wish I could do that. I wish I could be more like that. Like I look at people,
Do
I go,
you really?
I wish I wasn't as I wish I cared less about things. I care about things a lot. I care about what people think about me, oddly enough.
I know you do. Yeah.
Very much so. And so I think part of me, like I
would like to
like
care
I wish
less.
like I wish that part of me didn't want to go. Like I was working on that hour this weekend and I called Tom to talk it out with him. And then part of me was like, I know Joe's doing his hour. I want to call Joe and work it out with him and see what he thinks. And then I wanted to call Ari and go, hey, when you did, and then I go, wait, hold on. I go, the thing, here's the thing that I realized this weekend is this is my art. This is what I do for a living. And as much as I want the approval of my colleagues and my friends, you only get their approval if you make it yourself. I'm not saying like I'd ask them to write jokes for me or anything, but I'm just like, it's what it is for me is the pacing of the hour. I'm looking at it very differently based on the distributor than I would the previous hour based on the distributor.
For that hour, yeah.
And so I'm looking at chunks differently. I'm looking at the format of an hour very differently than I did ever have. And then I'm being very analytical about it, and I'm listening to all my tapes, and I'm uploading the audio and then chunking it out and going, there's certain things I can't forget to do because it fucks up the flow. And so I was like, no, but that's the thing that I liked about, that's what I love about Jim Jeffries, is the way he makes that art makes me laugh hard as shit.
His show just got renewed.
I know, I just saw it. Congrats, Jim Jeffries.
Like
Shout
20,
out to
20 episodes or something.
20 episodes. He doesn't need that money. He sold out fucking Sydney Opera House in 15 minutes.
Yeah, but he's from there, isn't he?
Yeah, but he was never famous there. He never had a following.
Yeah,
in
but
Australia.
when Homeboy does good and come home, it's gonna sell out. Come on.
Yeah.
You may not be famous in Tampa, and then you go back to Tampa as a famous person.
Yeah, but Australians, I think, and by the way, I'm speaking for a group of people that I am not, but I will appropriate your culture for a second. Australians are like the import. They're not big fan. Like all their favorite comics are all imports.
Oh, they
And
like
so,
the
like
import.
Carl Barron's not an import, but he's like their Seinfeld. But like Jim Jeffries, like a local guy, doesn't really impress them a ton. I don't think. I think they like the guy from Britain or the guy from the States or San Francisco. So Eddie Ifft is huge in Australia.
Really?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. So
What happened to his dog? Do you hear?
Oh, he texted me. He said thank you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now we're just having a private conversation on there. I don't think everyone knows what's going on with Eddie's dog. But yeah, his dog went through the same shit Priscilla went through, and he had to get his leg fixed. And he went and took LeeAnn's advice. LeeAnn had 5 opportunities to get it right, and so. Yeah, so his dog's doing good. He actually texted me a picture and said, please thank your wife.
Awesome. Oh, awesome. I'm so glad. That makes me happy. Good.
Yeah, good. So, but yeah. Jane Fonda throws shade at Megyn Kelly. Who's Tiffany Trump?
That's the younger Trump girl, right?
For real?
No, they have Ivanka, and there's a younger sister. I believe her name's Tiffany.
The 24-year-old daughter of Donald and Marla Maples.
I didn't know they had a kid.
Yeah, she's kind of hot.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, Trump.
All right, we should probably wrap this up. How much time have we done, Halston? Hour 40 is good. I'm going to work out. I'm going to go down and, by the way, that was a great podcast with my wife.
Was it?
I think.
I don't know.
Listen, you're not on Twitter, so I'll be the one to tell you. People will hit me up and let me know. I always get the women that listen to my podcast always go, I love when LeeAnn's on the podcast. And a lot of guys are like, dude, but once again, there are people that'll be like,
I'm skipping that one.
Yeah. And those people will come. All those people that like you will come find your podcast and enjoy it. It's going to be different. And it's going to grow. So check it out, listen to it, and let it be what it is, and let it grow into what it is.
I have fun.
Yeah.
So I guess that's really all that matters, right?
Yeah. And here's the deal. I want you guys to know this, that I'm working on producing, and I want to thank everyone who liked Something's Burning with me and Bill Burr and Tom Segura. Did you ever watch that?
No, I didn't watch that. Sorry.
You have any idea how frustrating it would be?
Yeah, but I'm married to you. I can't possibly keep up with everything you do. I'm doing your laundry. I'm taking care of your merchandise. I'm raising your children. I can't watch and do everything. I'm sorry. I'll watch it today.
Anyway, I want to thank all those guys. That was independently produced by me, Mike Bertolina, Bill Burr, Al Madrigal, Oscar. It was an all things comedy production, and those guys fucking hit it out of the park. It was so.
How did people find it?
Go to YouTube. Just type in all things comedy. Type in Something's Burning. Oddly enough, there's a great song I think by Kenny Rogers called Something's Burning.
Really?
Yeah, I thought I was original, but I'm looking to do more content like that. So I hope you guys are into it. I've said this. I'll say this again. Right now we're on track. We're in pre-production stages of shooting a sitcom that I wrote. My buddy Tony is right. We're trying to do it like a podcast. We also want to incorporate the fans in it and kind of make it like, you know how like Walking Dead kind of got like that kind of shit? Like Walking Dead had Talking Dead after it, and it was like, you could be a fan of stuff and you felt like you were a part of the process. I think Tony.
Look, those like cabin redo shows where you get to pick the interiors.
We're fooling around a little bit with that.
It's like Choose Your Own Adventure books.
We were talking about releasing the script online and letting people submit their notes. I know you're frowning, but one of the things that Tony and I have talked about, I don't know if I should be saying his name.
Yeah, I think you should just shut up.
Nope, I'm not going to because this is my project. No, why should I shut up?
Because you don't. Because you frustrate me. Because you don't. It's not all. You need to wait till it's worked out.
It's part of what I like about what we're doing is it's a little maverick. It's a little off the hip. It's a little doing our own thing.
Yes.
And part about doing your own thing is you don't have any bosses. And so right now, Tony and I are in charge of this. I wrote the script. I've known Tony since we were kids. He lives in New York. He produces TV shows, and we've just got drunk one day and had a weird idea. And we said, he said we went to a Rams game, and he was like, I've never seen anyone get recognized that much. And he hangs out with like legit celebrities. I said, oh, it's just the podcast. He's like, what do you mean just the podcast? I said, it's not like we have a connection. The people that listen to the podcast, hear me on Rogan, hear me on Ari, hear me on Joey, hear me on my podcast. They know me. Like they legit know me. Like they've listened to me talk for hours on end. Like they could tell you my dog's name.
For years.
For fucking 4 years. I don't know how long this podcast been going on. And so,
forever.
And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, the number one thing people say to me at shows is, hey man, thank you for all the free content. Mm-hmm. And I said, and he said, well, because Tony and I were going to do a sitcom, and we still will do a sitcom that's more scoped on me, but you're rolling your eyes at like,
I'm not rolling my eyes at anything.
And so I said, my goal is just to do everything that serves stand-up. I want everything to serve stand-up. Mm-hmm. I just want to put out free content. I want stuff to be good and people to dig it and be free content. Mm-hmm. And he was like, we could do that. And so we looked at it and we tried to break it down, and we're trying to do something that's a little different.
Maybe you should do it like Ruby, where every episode is 5 minutes long.
Really? Fuck, I didn't watch Ruby. I fell asleep.
You fell asleep during Ruby?
At the very beginning, and Anna kept trying to wake me up.
Missed it.
I got to watch Ruby. Every episode's 5 minutes long?
5 to 7 minutes long. So you can watch a season in like 40 minutes. Whole season.
Oh, shit. I got to call Tony.
Right?
Oh, I could definitely do that.
I was so into that show because of that.
Really?
Because she can watch a whole episode in 5 to 7 minutes. Yep.
Oh, I could make a 5-minute short. I could make
Over and over and over again.
35-minute shorts. Wow. See, this... Do you know why I didn't shut up?
Why?
Because we can have this conversation.
You think so?
And then everyone that watches this show that
well,
we're
if
going to do...
you just talk to me when we're not podcasting, maybe we'd have that conversation
Everyone that
anyway.
watches it goes, oh my God, I was there when Bert decided to make it 5 minutes.
5-minute episodes.
Because he was watching Ruby with his daughter. Look, Something's Burning is an odd, like, 15-minute... Like, it's not airable for TV, but it's like just what it is. It is what it is.
Right.
You know, like, and I think that's another thing that we can do is just make things that are what they are. But we want to try to figure out. Where obviously we'll figure out before we do anything, but figure out a way to incorporate fans and.
Oh, I just figured something out.
What?
I just figured something about 5-minute episodes.
What?
Then you get to advertise every 5 to 7 minutes instead of every 15.
Does Ruby advertise?
After every episode.
Oh my God.
So they get an ad every 5 to 7 minutes instead of every 15. So you double your ad sales for the same amount of time.
That's why I married her, everybody. They'd have to be good 5-minute episodes.
They'd have to be really good.
Is Ruby good?
If you're 11, yeah, it's really
I
good.
can make something for 11-year-olds. Just called Kicking the Balls.
Kicking the balls, and just every 5 minutes someone gets kicked in the balls.
It's a guy petting a kitten, and then a guy kicks him in the balls.
A guy petting a
And
kitten.
then you cut to the kitten going.
A guy fishing on a dock, and someone just kicks him in the balls.
Yeah.
A guy just filling up with gas at the gas
And
station.
then the guy just kicks him in the balls. See, I gotta.
Guys at the mirror cleaning his ears out with Q-tips, and somebody just kicks him in the balls.
7-minute. Yeah. If we make them 7 minutes and just release them for free.
Well,
make
it wouldn't
them
be
shorter.
for free. They'd have ads.
Yeah, they'd have ads. But I want it to be free. I'm also talking about.
You mean free for the consumer?
Yeah, I want my fans to be able to consume content the way I like to consume it.
Right.
I watch I watch the video. Like, I watched Bill Burr watch that goddamn fucking football game today.
Yeah.
And it made me howl laughing.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I want to go, hey, Bill, thanks for doing that for free.
Right.
That didn't exist before.
Right.
But you did it for free, and now you made me laugh in the middle of my day.
Right.
You made me just giggle fucking hard as shit.
Right.
I love free content. I love it. And so
most people love free things.
We're talking about 2 different tours this coming up, and I talked to Stacy. Stacy, for those of you who don't know or do know, was a girl I worked with on Trip Flip. Where when we first started talking about sexual harassment, I called her and I was with Dr. Drew. And I go, I wonder if I ever sexually harassed Stacy. I was like, I'm going to call her. And he goes, oh, I wouldn't call her. I go, no, it's okay. And so I went to her voicemail and I went, what's up, sweet tits? And Dr. Drew was like, Bert, that's sexual harassment. But I just got off the phone with Stacy about trying to produce stuff. It's so cheap to do it these days.
Right.
You can do it, but only fun stuff. Like, I was like, maybe we do something like what all the stuff that Travel Channel would never let us do. Maybe we just do those. Just do all the stuff, the dumb ideas we had, like and leave in all the stuff. I remember one time we were doing a tasting in New Zealand, and the beat was, this is a cheese with jelly, and this is a cheese with jam. Ask her what the difference is, and I didn't ask her, and she led into it. Do you know the difference between jelly and jam?
No. And
I go, oh, actually, I do. I go, you can't jelly your dick in someone's ass. And we laughed so fucking hard. And do you realize how much fun of a segment that would have been to air?
Yeah.
And Travel Channel wouldn't air it. I was so shocked.
Gee, I'm so surprised as well.
Bert the Conqueror, this is Adler and I were talking about. Bert the Conqueror, I wish I could buy that back from the network and cut it up the way I want and air it. That fucking haunted house thing is one of the funniest things I've ever done.
That haunted house thing.
And no one will ever see it because
They never aired that as an episode?
They did, but it just fucking no one watches that network.
That was so funny.
It was so fucking great.
It was really
branded content
really
is so hacky. It's just so like.
Well, they have so many bosses to answer to. Right?
I understand that. I get that. But it's just like, dude, the thing that I think is cool that Tony and I were talking about and Stacey and I were talking about is making the thing that you want.
And then
like,
selling that instead
this
of...
podcast,
Yeah.
this podcast, do you think anyone would have... If I had a boss I said, I'm just going to do it with LeeAnn. They'd be like, hold on. We found that the higher rated, I was doing 2 comics and you guys drink. So I think we're going to stick with that. No, this is my thing. I get to do this is my dialogue I get to have with the people that listen to it. And we're going to have the conversation I want to have today because I'm Bert and this is what I do.
Right.
And there are people that go, yes, that one wasn't for me, but I'm back for this one. And that's cool with me.
Yeah.
I'm not stuck to an agenda.
No.
And so part of me goes, I want to just do that for all the things I do.
Right.
Just keep making the stuff I like. I can not. No, there's not a television show out there that can pay me enough to take me off the road. That's not going to happen. I'm not talented enough. I mean, it would have to be one of those scenarios where they're like, listen, you get full control.
Right.
And then I'd be like, oh, okay, I'd do that.
Right.
You can make whatever you want to make, but
Right.
and we can air it. Then I'd do it. But like, no one's going to hire me to host something for more than I'm getting paid on the road.
No, for sure not.
And stop doing my podcast and not do the road.
No.
So then what do I want to do? Well, I'm doing these tours. Why not shoot some cool shit out there
Right.
and make it look like I had a goofy fucking idea that I told you and you were like, oh, okay. And then I told Dan Adler and he loved it. I told you about it.
Yeah.
And he loved it. And he was like, that is fucking hilarious. But then Dan's so smart. He goes, this is what you do. Mm-hmm. I like being around those people. The ones where you give them the idea and they go, oh, and like they have some sort of vision.
They add to. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like I'd get involved with Dan. I'd get involved to do a project with Dan again just because of the way his brain works. He's
Right.
just so fucking smart. Him and Bonnie both. We had such a great fucking lunch.
That's good.
That
Bonnie's a sweetheart.
Yeah, Bonnie.
I don't know Dan, so I can't speak.
You don't really?
No, I don't think I've ever met Dan.
You've met Dan. You've definitely
think
met Dan.
so?
I'm certain you've met Dan.
When? I don't think so.
Anytime.
I know I've spent time with Bonnie in Maine.
And that was the frustrating thing, I think, working with Dan is that he and I both had the same sensibility, but he also is very cool with making more branded content, meaning more stuff that the network like
in the lane.
Like EJ, he's just like, look, this is what they fucking do. This is what we do. This is how we make the fucking sausage.
Right.
Like I remember him having to have a couple conversations with me when we started about, hey, you're not on a comedy club stage. You're working for Travel Channel. You're a representative of Travel Channel.
Right.
You need to behave accordingly. He's like, I get that you're funny and I get that, but you can't make kill a homeless guy jokes in front of like 12-year-olds.
Right.
And I'd be like, but they laughed. And he's like, no, they laughed because they were uncomfortable.
Right.
Actually, I think that was Lonnie that had that conversation with me. But yeah, I think that's the direction I'm going in is like, I enjoy putting stuff on Instagram. I just want to fucking, I want, let me put this in the universe. I want a warehouse. I want what Rogan has, really, honestly. I really just want a steam room sauna. I just really want a sauna.
You just want a sauna?
I just want a sauna. I can do the podcast out of here if I could just have a sauna. I fucking want a sauna so bad. All right, we got to wrap this up. I'm going to go work out, and I'm going to go do a show tonight for Folds of Honor. Is that what it's called?
Folds of Honor?
Folds of Honor?
Folds of Honor, yes.
Is that the name of it?
Something of Honor.
It is called Folds of Honor.
Yeah, Folds of Honor.
Folds of Honor at the Irvine Improv.
Mm-hmm.
This is already out, but it's I think it's me and Jeff Dunham. I'm going to have to meet Jeff Dunham.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And the whole time I'm going to go, I want to talk to the dummy. He's like, what? No, Walter. I want to talk to Walter. Just be Walter when we talk.
Oh, that's...
I think Billy Gardell's doing it.
Oh, awesome. That'd be nice
You
to
get to see him.
Yeah, that'll be nice to see him again.
So yeah, any closing?
No, it was fun. I guess.
I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. We're not going to be doing a ton of these like this, but I think I'll probably hop on LeeAnn's podcast a couple times, and we'll do a podcast together sometimes there.
Yeah,
but
we won't be talking about the business.
No, we won't.
On my podcast.
We'll be talking about our kids probably.
Probably our kids.
Who are holding a talent show in our fucking living room and watching Runaways.
One of them invited 4 friends over without asking me to rehearse for a talent show in which they are dressing like the Pitch Perfect girls and singing a song.
I know what I'm gonna do.
But one of them's a boy.
You ready for this?
What?
I'm gonna get one of the cast members from Runaways to be on my podcast. And
oh my God, Georgia Kreischer would drop
fucking shit.
Dead on the spot.
Hey, if anyone get me a hookup with anyone from the
die.
cast of the Runaways,
she would.
I wonder if she'd want to meet the one of the writers for the Runaways more.
No. She would probably shit her pants.
The blonde?
Any of them. She loves Gertie. She loves all.
Oh, yeah.
She would die.
And get her on the podcast, and we'll do a podcast. We'll make it a bonus
She wouldn't
episode.
talk. She'd
think so?
No, I think she would be so flipped out. She'd freeze. She's such a fan of that show.
Oh, lastly, I have to tell you this. Ari Shaffir is officially kicked off Twitter. Have we talked about this? Ari Shaffir is officially kicked off Twitter.
You talked about it in the beginning for threatening our family.
For
to
threatening
kill
our family.
He's such a classy guy, I gotta tell you.
He's the fucking best.
Fucking classy.
He makes me laugh so fucking hard. He is. Let me tell you why he's thrown off Twitter. And this will be how we close out this episode. Ari was. What's up?
My tutor's here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
3:00, right?
I'll be back.
We were in Atlanta, and he had these records. They're sitting right here in my man cave right now. And because he's a child and he doesn't
How
have
about calling them albums so people
albums.
know?
It's a record.
A record could be like an accounting record.
Okay, he had these albums. And because he's a child and he travels with a backpack everywhere with only 9
Albums in it?
No, he literally has only like 1 pair of jeans, 1 pair of shorts, 4 pairs of socks, and he just changes and he just travels with a very small amount. And a water bottle, he travels with a water bottle.
Water bottle.
And so he had these albums and he couldn't get him in his suitcase. So he's like, "Hey, would you fly home with these for me?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." So we flew back.
Wait, did he buy them where you were?
He bought them.
Oh, okay.
He bought them in Athens, because that's who he is.
Athens, Georgia?
Yeah, and I hate that Georgia thought it was cool. I'll tell you that part in a second.
Wait, you went to Athens, Georgia?
No, Ari did Athens, and he did a couple different other dates, and then
I see. Okay.
So he's like, "Will you fly him to New York for me?" I was like, "Yes." So we land in New York, and I was like, "Yo, I got to go straight to the Bonfire," which is Big J's show.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Okay, well, I'll just take a car with you in the city, and I'll just hop on a train from there." So we go, and I just take his albums with me, and then he texts me the next day, "Hey, I need to get those albums." I was like, "I'm heading to Jersey," and then he texted me in Jersey, and he's like, "Where are my albums?" And I don't reply because I don't care, because they're not my albums, they're his albums. And then he texts me again, "Hey, for real, I need to get those albums before you leave for LA." And I wrote on Twitter, "Man, Ari, I'm really enjoying these albums. Thanks so much." And as a joke, he writes, "I will fucking kill you and kill your entire family if I don't get my Mom's Mabley album back."
Oh my God.
Twitter saw it and booted him. Said, "You're done off Twitter." And so Ari was like, what's even more hilarious about this is Ari is so anti-celebrity that when Twitter wanted to verify him, he made them unverify him. He goes, "No, how do you know I'm me? How do you know I'm me? You don't know that I'm me." Like he's just so against the system. Going through fucking security with him, he is, I'll say this, I don't think he'll have a problem with me saying this, because I think he said this on my podcast. He's traveling with a vape pen for me. He's traveling with a vape pen of weed that Segura flew into Atlanta, and he's traveling with it. And he said, and I got him into the first class line because he won't fly first class. And I go, "Come on, go through with me." And he's like, I watch him realize that I'm not going to like this. And he goes, "No, you're not going to like what's happening." I said, "When?" He goes, "I'm not taking my shoes off." I go, "Just take your fucking shoes off." And he goes, Nope, no one tells me to take my shoes off. I'm not taking my shoes off." I go, "Ari, take your fucking shoes off." I go, "Is it really worth that?" And he goes, Nope, they're nobody. They have no power over me. I refuse to let them have power over me." And I said, "So what are you going to do?" He goes, "I'll do a pat down. I'll do a screening. I don't care. They have no power over me." So I watch him take an extra 15 minutes to get patted down as opposed to take his shoes off. That's the way his brain works.
Was the vape pen in his shoe?
It was in his fucking top pocket. He didn't care at all.
So it was just about control.
He does not like the idea that someone who does not have power over him would exert power over him. A perceived power that is not there. So we go through security, we go to the Admirals Club, and then what was that? My whole point was with Twitter. I don't know why I started telling the story of the flight. On Twitter, they verified him, and he doesn't like I can't speak for Ari, but I will say that the idea that someone would get verified that isn't famous and that is their goal in life, I'm verified on Twitter, that makes him sick. Celebrity, kind of like the want or need of celebrity isn't his thing. He doesn't like that. He likes anonymity. He likes being a comic. He likes doing his own thing. So when Twitter verified him,
I don't know if I buy that.
No, I actually do buy that.
I don't buy it.
I do buy it. I do. I definitely do.
Okay.
he just like he doesn't mind celebrity. He understands it comes with the business, but he's not someone that would be an Instagram model. He's not someone who's going to post about how cool his life is. He wants to live his life, and he wants a little bit of privacy, and then he doesn't mind being famous. He doesn't mind that stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. So Twitter verified him, and he said, "No, I don't need it." And they're like, "Yeah, but we want to make sure it's you." And he was like, "How do you know it's me?" And they're like, "Well, we don't." He's like, "Then fine. Then don't verify me." So by doing that, there's no helping his account. He's just some fucking dude who was on Twitter who threatened to kill somebody. So then he texted me, "I guess I was wrong about that verification thing, huh? I guess it would have been nice to have a little bit of celebrity and a little bit of help on that, huh?" And so I talked to him today. I was like, "So what are you going to do?" And he goes, "I guess I'm done with Twitter forever." I was like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do." And I go, "Well, I can do a video to kind of help you get followers back." He goes, "Oh, what am I going to get, 3,000 followers? I don't know. This is ridiculous. I had like 180,000 followers. They're gone. They're gone forever, Bert." And I can't stop laughing at this. Is all over the fact that he chose to live his life a certain way, and these are the repercussions of that choice. The fact that he wouldn't play ball, the fact that he won't take his shoes off, all the things that make me like him all the things that come back to haunt him. These stupid fucking albums. But then the best part of all of it, Georgia saw the albums. I saw her flipping through them and looking at them. She goes, "What are these?" I said, "They're albums." She goes, "Yeah. You know, I think when I get my own room, Dad, I'm gonna get a record player so I can play albums." I was like, "Fucking Ari."
Oh boy.
She's already looking at him like, "God, that is cool as shit." Yeah, good call.
She didn't know they were Ari's.
Yeah, I told her they were. Oh. She's like, "Yeah, maybe I'll get a record album." So yeah, Ari's booted off Twitter. I don't think he's ever coming back to Twitter. I think he's going to stay on Instagram. I also love that what I think is so comical is people will say things to me at my show like, why do you like Ari? Like someone said to me in New Jersey, "I don't like that you like Ari." I said, "Why?" And they're like, "He's very unlikable." I was like, "Yeah, but he's not like who he is in public is not who he is in person." Like, he's a little distant in public, but God, he makes me giggle so fucking hard because he's just stubborn and he's authentic and he's a very different person. Mm-hmm. All right. That's it.
You done? That's
it. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. We'll be back next week with another podcast. I'm gonna do. I'm probably not gonna be doing any drinking podcasts until after the special because I'm using these times at home to kind of get my head back together, and I'm doing spots on Tuesday nights. So I'm trying to get Tom Papa on. I want to get Tom Papa. He makes sourdough bread. So I texted him. We're lining it up. There'll be one next Tuesday.
Is he gonna make bread on the podcast?
No, but I want him to talk about it. I'm really fascinated by people that have hobbies.
His hobby's making sourdough bread?
Yeah.
Do you know how to make sourdough bread?
No, that's why I'm having Tom Papa on.
It's a real science project.
No, I know.
Yeah.
And you gotta
it's
have
not like anything else.
Yeah, I know. That's why I want to talk to him about sourdough bread.
Right. That's
because
cool.
One of the things I'm the older I get, like my hobby right now is snowboarding. That's just because I'm shut up.
That's not your hobby. You went one time.
I'm going again this weekend.
You went one time.
You're a fucking jerk.
My hobby right now.
Well, that's the closest thing I have to a hobby.
Hyperbole. My hobby right now.
That's the closest thing I have to a fucking hobby.
I'm really into snowboarding. You're really into snowboarding about as much as I'm really into working out.
You're a jerk. I've got my sauna suit on so I can sweat out some
I'm not a jerk.
LBs.
Just keeping you honest.
But I'm really into people with hobbies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any hobbies.
Well, you tried leather making for a while.
How did that work out?
You got a nice looking fanny pack.
Why don't you pull it up so people can see it on video?
Briefcase looking thing. Oh, we're on video?
Yeah.
I didn't know we were being videotaped.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I would have dressed a little better.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. This is my wife.
This thing? I didn't know we were on videotape.
Yeah, you
videotape. Does that date me at all? Videotape. Videotaped. You got the camcorder over there?
Yep. So yeah, I'm looking for a hobby. I want to have Tom Papa on and talk about his about sourdough bread.
Yeah, I don't know how do you make a starter for sourdough bread. I'd be interested in hearing that.
You need a mother load. Mother load?
You have to study. I don't know how you.
You need a mother load.
Yeah, you have to get it from somewhere though.
Yeah, you got to buy. You got to, and the older your mother load is, the better your sourdough.
The sourdough,
bread is.
right?
So like the old, some of the best sourdough bread in the world is out of San Francisco because they've got a mother. Is it a mother load?
I don't know about mother load, but
Hey Siri. I just fucked up everyone's phones.
Your language.
Hey Siri. How do you make sourdough bread?
Checking. Okay. I found this on the web for how do you make sourdough bread.
Okay, you need. It's not called a mother load. It's called
a starter, right?
No, it's called a mother something.
A mother starter, a mother scratcher, a mother's helper. Are you sure it's a mother? I always heard it as a sourdough starter. You have to have a starter.
Fuck, what's it called? This is why I need Tom Papa.
Well, maybe wait till he comes on and
a
ask
fresh
him.
sourdough starter, but it's called a.
Oh, is it called a starter? I'm
No,
sorry. What's it called? Is it a starter?
You need a mother load. You need a mother load.
It's a starter.
No, it's a mother load.
It's a
The older the
starter.
mother load, the better the bread.
Yes, the older the starter, the better.
Mother load.
The older the
Mother load.
starter,
Mother
the
load.
better the bread.
I'm calling Tom Papa
Has
right
to
now.
ferment or
It's
something.
a mother load. I'm calling Tom Papa right now. Hold on 1 second.
It's a starter. What was it called online again? What was it called?
Quick question. What's the thing you need to start sourdough bread - a mother load?
Or a starter.
No, it's going to be mother load. Please.
Sourdough starter flour.
Stop with starter. Stop with starter. It's not a starter.
Oh, it's
It's
a
not
starter.
It's not a starter. Tom will
It's-
fucking
it's not a
answer.
stopper.
God damn it. What's the thing you need?
A starter.
No, it's not a starter.
It's a starter.
It's stop.
Hey, Bert. It's a starter.
Sourdough mother
Starter.
culture? No, it's like a mother load. A mother culture. So the mother culture is
Is the starter. No. Yeah, because it's the yeast, I think, that has to ferment or something.
preparation begins with a pre-fermented leaven, also known as a chief leaven, also known as a chief, a head, a mother, or a sponge. Mother yeast. I think it's called a mother yeast. And so mother bread, yeah, it's a mother bread. So that's the first thing you need. Well, okay, we'll talk about with Tom Papa when he's on the podcast.
Good call.
All right, I love you guys. I hope you have a great week. Thank you. I love you, LeeAnn.
Love you too, babe.
Bye.
Bye.
This episode was brought to you by The Machine.